Let us continue our journey in discussing the MCQs of BCBR. Now this is the third chapter, literature review. To start with the first question, the ability to apply the principles of analysis to identify those studies which are unbiased and valid is called as what? Options are A, critical appraisal, B, information seeking, C is information management, and D is systematic review. So the ability, see the definition, the ability to apply principles of analysis to identify those studies which are unbiased and valid. Whenever you come across these two words, unbiased and valid, then you take the answer as critical appraisal. The answer for this question is critical appraisal. In this context, let us see three different definitions. One is the information seeking, second is critical appraisal, third is information retrieval. How are they defined as? Information seeking is nothing but scanning the literature efficiently using manual or computerized methods to identify a set of potentially useful articles and books is called as information seeking. Whereas critical appraisal is the ability to apply the principles of analysis, to identify those studies which are unbiased and valid, is called as critical appraisal. In the question, invariably you will find these words unbiased and valid. Whenever this is given, then you can take the answer as critical appraisal. The third one is information retrieval. It is identifying within a large document collection a subset of documents whose content is most relevant to users' need. This is called as information retrieval. Once again, information retrieval is identifying within a large document collection subset of documents whose content is most relevant to the user's need. So these three definitions we have to be well versed, otherwise invariably one question or two questions will come. There should not be any confusion regarding this thing. In information seeking, how can you identify? The question will mention identify a set of potentially useful articles and books. These are the words which are in the question. For critical appraisal, you can identify unbiased and valid. But for information retrieval, you will find these terminologies like a subset of documents, identifying within a large document collection. So these are the words. Please identify these words and mark the answer appropriately. Then next question. A dash is a collection of articles, abstracts, scientific proceedings, books, citations, etc. that is organized so that it can easily be assessed while doing the literature review. So a dash is a collection of articles, abstracts. So whenever you come across these words, collection of articles, abstracts, scientific proceedings, books and citations, etc. So this is what? This is database. DATABASE, database. Okay. So option number A is the answer for this question. Other options were critical appraisal, hard disk and index. No, those are all wrong answers. Then next. Why should we need to do a literature review? Options are A, save yourself from work. B, know the subject matter better. C is suggest new research topics, questions and methods. Or D, all of the above. So why should we need to do a literature review? Definitely to save yourself from work, to know the subject matter better, and also to suggest new research topics, questions and methods. So therefore all the above are correct. So the answer for this question is option number D. Next question. The process of scanning the literature efficiently using manual or computerized methods to identify a set of potentially useful articles and books is called as what? Options are A, information seeking, B, critical appraisal, C is database management, or D is information retrieval. Once again, let us see the question. The process of scanning the literature efficiently using manual or computerized methods to identify a set of potentially useful articles and books. Whenever you come across scanning the literature, identify a set of potentially useful articles and books is called as information seeking. Information seeking. Please remember this answer and also the question. Next question. Empirical literature is where you are actually writing all your existing information. This statement, is it a true statement or a false statement? They are speaking regarding empirical literature. is where you actually write all your existing information empirically. Yes, this is a true statement. This is a true statement. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is unethical while writing a literature review? Okay. Let us see the options. A. The contents from the studies should be presented honestly. B. The contents from the studies should not be distorted. C. It is not necessary to address the weakness of a study in a scholarly manner. Or D. That the sources should be accurately documented. So, what is unethical while writing a literature review? Let us see the options again. Option number A, that is the contents from the studies should be presented honestly. Yes, this is ethical. To the option number B, that the contents from the studies should not be distorted. Yes, even this is a true statement. Then the third statement, that it is not necessary to address the weaknesses of the study in a scholarly manner, definitely wrong. And this is the answer for this question, because it is actually necessary to address the weakness of the study in a scholarly manner. Then the last statement, that the sources should be accurately documented. Yes, definitely this is also a true statement pertaining to the literature review. Next question. Critical appraisal is done in an organized and systematic manner. Critical appraisal is done in an organized and systematic manner. Is it a true statement or a false statement? From the definition itself, we know that this is a true statement. It is a true statement. Next question. The process of identifying within a large document collection a subset of documents whose content is most relevant to the user's need is called as what? Options are A. Information retrieval, B. Information management, C. Systematic review, and D is narrative review. So, the process of identifying within a large document collection a subset of documents whose content is most relevant to the user's need is called as information retrieval. Information retrieval. In this context, let us see three different definitions. One is the information seeking, second is critical appraisal, third is information retrieval. How are they defined as? Information seeking is nothing but scanning the literature efficiently using manual or computerized methods to identify a set of potentially useful articles and books is called as information seeking. Whereas critical appraisal is the ability to apply the principles of analysis, to identify those studies which are unbiased and valid, is called as critical appraisal. In the question, invariably you will find these words unbiased and valid. Whenever this is given, then you can take the answer as critical appraisal. The third one is information retrieval. It is identifying within a large document collection a subset of documents whose content is most relevant to users' need. This is called as information retrieval. Once again, information retrieval is identifying within a large document collection subset of documents whose content is most relevant to the user's need. So these three definitions we have to be well versed, otherwise invariably one question or two questions will come. There should not be any confusion regarding this thing. In information seeking, how can you identify? The question will mention identify a set of potentially useful articles and book. These are the words which are in the question. For critical appraisal, you can identify unbiased and valid. But for information retrieval, you will find these terminologies like a subset of documents identifying within a large document collection. So these are the words. Please identify these words and write the and mark the answer appropriately. Okay. Please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. The query system in the information retrieval process of the literature review is what? Options are A. User defined, B is provider defined, C is conditional, and D is not structured. So the query system in the information retrieval process of a literature review is always user defined. So please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. In the National Library of Medicine, what does MESH means? Options are A. Medical Services Heading, B is Medical Subject Heading, C is Medical Subject Helpline, or D is Medicine Services Helpline? Now, this is a very important question. In the National Library of Medicine, NLM, what does MESH stand for? MESH stands for medical, S stands for subject, and C stands for heading. Okay, so option number B is the answer for this question. Medical subject heading is the full form of MESH mesh. Please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. In literature review, method of identifying studies which are unbiased and valid is known as critical appraisal. We have seen this before. Unbiased and valid. So is this a true statement or false? Definitely it is a true statement. It is a true statement. Next question. An investigator is interested to summarize the prevalence of hookworm infections among children. So which among the following search strategy would yield the appropriate result? The prevalence of hookworm infections among the children. So hookworm are there in the children. Options are A, hookworm infections and children, B, hookworm infections or children, C, hookworm infections but not children, and D, hookworm infections but children. Because hookworm infections are already there in the children, they are looking after the prevalence of hookworm in the children. So therefore it is hookworm and children. So option number A should be the answer for this question. Next question. Yes, next question. All of the following about literature review is correct except. So three statements are correct and one is wrong. Let us see the options. Option number A, it identifies the lacunae in the existing knowledge about the topic. B is that it helps the researcher in arriving the conclusion of a study. C is it suggests the researcher about new research topics. And D is that it saves valuable time for a researcher. So what is the answer for this question? Let us see the options again. It identifies the lacunae in the existing knowledge about a topic. Yes, this is a correct statement. Correct statement. And it helps the researcher in arriving to the conclusion of the study. No, this is the answer for this question. Let us see the other two statements. That it suggests the researcher about new research topics. Yes, definitely. And it saves valuable time for a researcher is also correct about literature review, except the second option that it helps the researcher in arriving the conclusion of a study is the answer for this question. Next question. Literature review is an important step in any health research because it is an important link between what is known and what is not known. Is this a true statement or a false statement? Literature review is an important step in any health research because this is an important link between what is known and what is not known is definitely a true statement. Then, next question. Which of the following about PubMed is incorrect? So, three statements are correct and one is wrong. Again, let us see the options. A. PubMed comprises about, more than 25 million citations for biomedical research, biomedical literature. B. Citations may include links to full text article from PubMed Central. C is that PubMed is developed and maintained by the National Center for Biotechnology Information NCBI, that is new US National Library of Medicine. Yes, definitely, even this is a correct statement. Fourth one, that the PubMed is a paid service provider for searching of literature, paid service. So we got the answer for this question, that this is an incorrect statement pertaining to PubMed because PubMed is totally free, it is not a paid service. Next question. All of the following are examples of databases except. Database in the sense medical databases associated with our field. Options are A. MEDLINE, B. Embase, C. Sinhal, or D. Google Scholar. MEDLINE is a database, Embase is a database, Sinhal is a database, Google Scholar is not a medical database. Please remember this answer. Google Scholar is not a medical database. Next question. Literature searches are important to do at the start of a project and do not need to continue throughout the project. Is it a true statement or a false statement? Definitely it is a false statement because literature searches are important at the starting of the project also, and it needs to be continued. It needs to be continued throughout the project. So therefore this statement what they wrote over here is a false statement. Next question. Which of the following search query should be used to find the articles on chest pain other than angina? Chest pain other than angina. So the options are A. Chest pain and angina, B. Chest pain or angina, C. Chest pain not angina, D is chest pain except angina. So if you take chest pain and angina, that means that chest plus angina both are involved. So therefore this is not the answer. If you take chest pain or angina, then it will show all the articles pertaining to chest pain also and also the angina. So therefore even this is not the answer. But if you take option number C, that is chest pain not angina, it will give only chest pain and not angina. So this is other than angina. So this will not be given. This will not be given. So therefore option number C is the answer for our question. Also chest pain except angina, yes, it can be taken, but the word except is not involved in the Boolean system. Except terminology is not there. The meaning may be the same, but the terminology or the term except is not present. So therefore the answer for our question is option number C. Next question. A researcher wants to assess the effects of PUFA on diabetes prognosis. For this, the researcher searches related articles in PubMed and Google Scholar. The process is known as what? Is it A. Information retrieval? Is it B. Indexing? C. Critical appraisal? Or D is data management? For this, the researcher searches the related articles in PubMed and Google Scholar. So this process is known as option number A, that is information retrieval is the answer for this question. Please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. Which of the following about MES search is correct? What is mesh? Medical? Subject? Heading? Chalo. Mesh thesaurus is controlled vocabulary produced by the NLM. Or B. It consists of a set of terms naming descriptors in a hierarchical structure that permits searching at various levels of specificity. Or C. That it is used for indexing and searching of biomedical and health research information. Or D. Mesh is used for embase database. C. Which of the following about mesh is incorrect? The three statements are correct and one is wrong. Option number A, that mesh thesaurus is controlled vocabulary produced by the NLM is a true statement, and it consists of set of terms naming descriptors in a hierarchical structure that permits searching at various levels is also a true statement, and it is used for indexing and searching of biomedical and health researcher and health related information is also a true statement. So therefore the fourth statement, that mesh is used for embase database, is a wrong statement. It is not used. It is using for embase database is a false statement. So this is the answer for this question. Next question. Which of the following is incorrect about literature review for a proposed study? Options are A. Begins with a systematic literature search. B. It involves a critical appraisal of retrieved studies. C. It presents the existing knowledge concisely. Or D. That it guides the findings of the proposed study. So what is incorrect? 1 is incorrect, 3 are correct. Let us see the options again. A. That it begins with a systematic literature search. Yes, correct. It involves critical appraisal of retrieved studies. Yes, even this is correct. It presents the existing knowledge concisely. Yes, even this is correct. And it guides the findings of the proposed study is wrong because there is no guidance. So this is the answer for this question about the literature review. Next question. Which of the following is a third step in the organized search? Options are A. Developing questions for further research. B. Synthesizing results. C. Identifying the lacunae. Or D is organize the information. So the following is the third step in the organized search. So the answer for this question is identifying the lacunae is the third step. The third option is the third step in this question. Now see the information given in this chart. This chart speaks about the literature review and the organized search. Then there are certain steps involved in this process. The first one will be to organize the information. Second one will be synthesize the results. Third one will be to identify the lacunae. And the fourth step will be to develop the questions for further research. So these are the steps. So first is organize information, second is synthesize the results, third will be identify the lacunae, and fourth will be to develop the questions for further research. Next question. Literature review is a well thought out and organized search for all the literature published on a particular topic in a library or an online database. Is it a true statement or a false statement? Definitely it is a true statement. Please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. Which of the following search queries in Boolean in PubMed will give relevant articles for the following question? What is the burden of GE among children? So it should be GE and children. Okay. From the options G or children, GE and children, GE but children, and GE not children, the option number B, that is GE and children, is the answer for this question. Please, we have remember the question and the answer. We have already done such sort of question in this chapter. Next question. Which of the following Boolean operator will give the highest number of results when used between two given search terms? Options are A and, B not, C is or, and option number D is all. So when you want the highest number of results, it should be either of the two terms. Okay. So the answer will be option number C, or. Or is the answer for this question. Please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. A researcher wants to study the effect of a physical activity on reduction of systolic blood pressure among patients with hypertension. Okay. So the researcher has identified a subset of documents which are most relevant to the research question within a large document collection. This process is known as what? Options are A, information management, B, critical appraisal, C, information retrieval, or D is literature organization. See, what has the researcher done? The researcher has identified a subset of documents which are most relevant to the research question within a large document collection. So this is known as information retrieval. Option number C is the answer for this question. Next question. Which of the following is not correct while writing the introduction of a literature review? Options are A, purpose of review, B, organization of review, C is the least important to most important items, and D is basis of ordering. So which is not correct while writing the introduction? In the introduction part, purpose of review we know, yes. Organization of review we know, yes. Least important to most important is wrong, because it is actually most important to least important, not least important to most important. You come from most to least. Then last one is the basis of ordering. Yes, even this is the correct statement. So we got the incorrect statement for this question. Now see the information given in this chart regarding writing a literature review. It consists of three parts. One is introduction, second is empirical literature, third one is a summary. Each and every component has been asked as a question previously. Now coming to the introduction part, it consists of purpose of review, organization of the review, basis for ordering, and most important to least important, and then earliest to the most recent. So from our question was asked regarding the introduction part of the literature review, and they were given multiple options. So from the options, the third option was given as least important to most important, which is not correct while writing the introduction of a literature review. We have seen this. So therefore, this, it should be actually most important to least important, but they have converted into least important to most important and has been given as an option. So this is the answer for this question. So I request all the students to get well versed with this chart regarding writing a literature review and its components, that is introduction, empirical literature, and summary. Each and every point in the introduction part, in the empirical literature part, and in the summary part has been asked as a question. Okay, so please become perfect with this chart. Next question. Which of the following does not satisfy the ethical principles in conducting a literature review? Options are A, results of previous studies are presented without distortion, B, weaknesses of previous studies are highlighted, C, that the previous studies are accurately cited, or D, reputation of study authors are questioned. Which of the following does not satisfy the ethical principles in conducting a literature review? The options are again A, that it results from the results of previous studies are presented without distortion. Yes, it is a true statement. Weaknesses of previous studies are highlighted. Yes, even this is correct. Previous studies are accurately cited. Yes, even this is correct. Then reputation of study authors are questioned. No, this is not at all related. So this does not satisfy the ethical principles in conducting a literature review. So we got the answer for this question. Next question. For which of the following purpose is the Boolean operator or commonly used in the literature search? Options are A. Connecting synonyms of one key concept. B. Connecting different key concepts. C is connecting keywords which need to be excluded. Or D is connecting keywords to narrow down the results. Or is used whenever there are two different words with the same meaning. So that is connecting synonyms of one key concept should be the answer for this question. Please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. Medical subject headings, that is MESH, is controlled vocabulary thesaurus used for indexing articles in what? A. PubMed, B. Google Scholar, C is Scopus, or D is Health on Net. The answer for this question is option number A, PubMed. Okay, please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. Which one of the following is the first step in the organized search? Options are A. Developing questions for further research, B. Synthesizing results, C is identifying the lacunae, or D is organize the information. See, the first step in the organized search is option number D, that is organize the information will be the first step. Please remember the question and also the answer. Now see the information given in this chart. This chart speaks about the literature review and the organized search. Then there are certain steps involved in this process. The first one will be to organize the information. Second one will be synthesize the results. Third one will be to identify the lacunae. And the fourth step will be to develop the questions for further research. So these are the steps. So first is organize information, second is synthesize the results, third will be identify the lacunae, and fourth will be to develop the questions for further research. Next question. Which of the following is not a component while writing a literature review? Options are A. Including the quality studies relevant to the topic, B. Explaining each study using paraphrasing quotes, actually it is a quotes. Then next is including the studies which are irrelevant to the topic, or D. Scholarly but brief critique of studies' strengths and weaknesses. So which is not a component while writing a literature review? Option number C is not a component, that is including studies which are irrelevant to the topic. See, because we want to include studies which are relevant to the topic. Okay, so this is the answer for this question. Please remember the question and also the answer and all the options also. Now see the information given in this chart pertaining to writing a literature review. All the students should be perfect with this chart, as I told previously also. Writing a literature review will consist of three parts. One is introduction, second is empirical literature, and third is the summary. Now you see the empirical literature part. In it, the first point itself, it is written like it should include the quality studies which are relevant to the topic. But from our options, they have mentioned the option like it should include the studies which are irrelevant to the topic. So therefore, we have taken this as an answer, because the question was that which of the following is not a component. So including studies which are irrelevant to the topic is not a component, because the component will be it should include quality studies which are relevant to the topic. So similarly, you please go through all the other options, because each and every sentence has been asked as a question in the empirical literature, also in the summary part, and also in the introduction part we have seen previously in one of the questions. Next question. The summary of writing a literature review will contain a concise presentation of the research knowledge about a selected topic. So whether it is a known and a not known. So this statement is definitely a true statement. We have seen this. This is the repeated question. The summary of writing a literature review will contain a concise presentation of research knowledge about a selected topic, whether it is known or unknown. So this is definitely a true statement. Next question. What is not a component in indexing? Options are A. Covering all the terms in the database, B. Common and frequent terms, C is uncommon and rare terms, or D is using as delimiters. So in indexing, what is not a component? Option number C is not a component, that is uncommon and rare terms are not a component in indexing. So please remember the question and also the answer. Now see the information given in this chart regarding the database structure and management. We have certain points pertaining to indexing. It says that it covers all the terms in the database. Second point is like common and frequent terms are covered. and it is used as delimiters. So all these three options, this has been given as an option, this has been given as an option, and this also has been given as an option. All these three statements have been given as an option over here, and over here. So therefore the option number C, that is uncommon and rare terms, is not a component in indexing. So please remember this question, the answer, and also this chart pertaining to indexing. Next question. Which of the following cannot be used in the Boolean operator system? Is it and? Is it or? Is it not? Or is it but? We use and, we use or, we use not, but we do not use but. So but is not used in the Boolean operator system. Okay, please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. In the HON websites, the information given are provided by option A, professional, B, researcher, C is both A and B, that is both the professional and the researcher, or D, neither A nor B. So in the HON websites, whatever information is given definitely by a professional and also by the researcher. So therefore both A and B are true for this question. So please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. Which of the following is not a component while writing a literature review? Options are A, including the quality studies relevant to the topic, B, explaining each study using paraphrasing quotes, C is explaining each study using direct quotes, or D is scholarly but brief critique of studies' strengths and weaknesses. So which is again not a component while writing a literature review? A similar type of question came previously but with different options. Let us see the options what are given over here. Including quality studies relevant to the topic, yes, definitely we want these. Explaining each study using paraphrasing quotes, yes, even this is correct. Explaining each study using direct quotes, no, this is not correct because using direct quotes is not a component. Lastly, scholarly but brief critique of studies, strengths and weaknesses, yes, even this is correct statement. So please remember the options. Next question. Which of the following is not a component while writing a literature review? Again, similar type of question for the third time. Options are A, including quality studies relevant to the topic. Yes, this is the correct statement. Explaining each study using paraphrasing quote. Yes, even this is correct. Scholarly and lengthy critique of studies, strengths and weaknesses. No, this is not, because just now we have seen in the previous question itself that scholarly and brief critique of studies, strengths and weaknesses is the answer, should be the actual component while writing a literature review. So this is the answer for this question. Next question. HON website stands for, that is HON stands for what? Home network, hospital network, health on network, and or none of the above. HON stands for health on network. Okay, so option number C is the answer for this question. Next question. While drafting a scientific manuscript, the literature review is useful on the following section except. Options are A, introduction, B, methods, C, repetitions, or D is discussions. C, introduction will be there, methods will be there, repetitions are not there, and discussion will be there. In the IMRD structure in manuscript writing, if you see, you will have introduction, you will have methods, R will stand for results, okay, and D will be discussions. So simply they have changed the R from results to repetitions and given a question. So please remember this question and the answer. In the manuscript writing, it will be IMRD structure. Okay, this we will come across in the in the last second chapter, that is in the 24th chapter. But once again, because literature review is involved, they have asked the question over here. Next question, state whether true or false. Literature review helps us to understand the gaps in the existing knowledge about the concerned subject. Is it a true statement or a false statement? Literature review helps us to understand the gaps in the existing knowledge. Yes, definitely it's a true statement. It's a true statement. Next question. What are the advantages of literature review? Options are A, information retrieval, B is critical appraisal. Actually both information retrieval is an advantage, critical appraisal is an advantage. So therefore both A and B are advantage. So we got the answer for this question. Then in basic research, what is happening? A, there is increase in the existing knowledge, B, there is decrease in the existing knowledge, or C, that both A and B are correct, or option number D, that is neither A nor B is correct. In basic research, there is definitely an increase in the existing knowledge. there will also be a decrease in the existing knowledge. So therefore, both A and B are correct. Please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. All of the following are steps in performing a literature review except. What are the options? A. Selecting the study reports in the last 5 years. We got the answer in the first statement itself because last 5 years is never mentioned anywhere for a literature review. Okay. You select the studies reported for the last many years but not 5 years. The number 5 is not mentioned anywhere. The other statements comparing methods of identify studies, yes, this is correct. Tabulation of findings from each study is correct. And then scholarly critical appraisal of studies is also correct. So we got the answer for our question. Next question. Which among the following is not generally reported in the table of literature review? Options are A. Study design, B. Study population, C. is primary outcomes, or D. is impact factor. Not generally reported. See, study design you report, study population you report, primary outcomes also you report, but not impact factor. So this is the answer for this question. Please remember the question and also the answer. Next question. Which among the following is not a search engine for retrieved published medical literature? We have already seen this question that Google Scholar is not a search engine. So this is the answer for this question. PubMed is a search engine, Ovid is there, then MEDLINE is there, but Google Scholar is not a search engine. Chalo, next question. Which of the following Boolean operators is used for connecting two keywords, the latter of which needs to be included from the searches? Okay, so the options are A and B, or C not, or D but. See, when you want to include, then it should be definitely and. Okay, so this is the answer for this question. Next question. Which of the following Boolean operators is used for connecting again two keywords, the latter of which needs to be excluded from searches? Previously it was included from searches, so we have taken and. Now because you want to exclude from the searches, what will you use? Is it and or not but? Definitely it is not. Okay, so while answering this question, please I request the students to carefully read the question. See, two questions have been given back to back. One is that they have mentioned the word included, and in another question they have mentioned the word excluded. So be careful while reading the question and answer accordingly. Next question. An investigator is interested to find the literature on effectiveness of COVID vaccination for reducing severe COVID-19 illnesses that requires ICU care. So which of the following search strategy will yield the most appropriate results? Options are A. COVID-19 vaccine and severe COVID-19 or intensive care unit. Second is COVID-19 vaccine or severe COVID-19 and the intensive care unit. Third is COVID-19 vaccine and severe COVID-19 and ICU. Or D is COVID-19 vaccine or severe COVID-19 or intensive care unit. See the question again. The investigator is interested to find out the literature on the effectiveness of vaccine for reducing COVID-19 illness that requires ICU care. So you are giving the vaccine to reduce COVID-19 illnesses and no ICU care. So which of the following search strategy? Option number C is the answer for this question. COVID-19 vaccine and severe COVID-19 and intensive care unit is the answer for this question. Last question. Choose the correct sequence of steps of systematically doing the literature search from the below. Options are A. Organize the information, identify the lacunae, develop the research questions, synthesize the results. Or B. Identify the lacunae, develop the research questions, synthesize the results and organize the information. Or option C. Develop the research questions, synthesize the results, organize the information, identify the lacunae. Or option D. Organize the information, synthesize the results, identify the lacunae and develop the research question. So the correct sequence of steps of systematically doing the literature search from below options are option number D, that is you first organize the information, then you synthesize the results, then identify the lacunae and then lastly you develop the research question. Now see the information given in this chart. This chart speaks about the literature review and the organized search. Then there are certain steps involved in this process. The first one will be to organize the information. Second one will be synthesize the results. Third one will be to identify the lacunae. And the fourth step will be to develop the questions for further research. So these are the steps. So first is organize information, second is synthesize the results, third will be identify the lacunae, and fourth will be to develop the questions for further research. So you please, all the students, please remember the steps in the literature review, organized search. So please remember the question and also the answer for this question. This we come to the end of chapter number 3, literature review. So I wish all the students to read very well. Happy learning. Bye.